this past Friday, the final 2 episodes of Season 4 of Stranger Things dropped.
It was freaking lit. It was crazy. There was over 4 hours worth of footage, and we were on a ride, bro. There was so much happening, so much to unpack. Questions for the next season.
There's a lot to go on in this last couple episodes.
Insanity.
We wanted to take a small break. We didn't want to rush out our review, but we wanted to take some time to talk about it.
Ponder our thoughts.
Amongst some friends. Let them simmer. We're ready to talk to you guys about what is going on in this season. So we're just going to start moving. It's a lot to talk about. Again, 4 hours
emotional
of content.
PTSD trauma over here.
We're moving through this. We're moving through. Okay, so we pick up right after where Volume 1 ends basically with this confusion with Nancy, and that's basically right where this Volume 2 picks up. Nancy, a lot of things are going on with the Hawkins crew. Talk about that.
Vecna lets Nancy go, basically telling her, hey, I could destroy you right now, basically, but I need you to go deliver a message to 11 and know that this is what's going to happen. And he basically tells her what's to come. They have a plan that they try to get together, and it zooms back into all the plot lines that were left off in Volume 1 and connecting them all for these final 2 episodes.
Yeah.
This one being called Papa, there was a lot to do with 11 and Dr. Brenner and the lab, the California crew finally coming in.
Because they weren't at all in episode 7. There was no mention of the California crew at all.
So they actually had stuff to do this episode.
They did. So the California crew definitely was the highlight of this episode, like you just mentioned.
It was cool to see them actually do stuff.
Exactly. They finally got a chance to kind of shine. I still feel like a lot of these characters are kind of just along for the ride. Characters like Will and Mike are really just involved in the story because they were there in Season 1 and they haven't died yet. So I feel like they're kind of along for the ride. They're getting piggybacked like the last like the final episode title. They're just kind of along for the ride. They're there as a vessel to go see 11 because 11 really was the highlight of this episode. Her getting her powers back, seeing Papa. They're acting again. Dr. Brenner's actor and Millie Bobby Brown have a good chemistry together building since off of Season 1. Really, a lot of tension there, a lot of built-up frustration, and we've seen that played out.
They have a history in their past, and it unfolds. The more and more the memories are getting brought back, and what the threats, the new level of threats. You have the U.S. government, people, agents trying to come in and capture her. There's so much there's so much breaking down. You got Hopper, Joyce, Murray, Yuri, that whole crew, escaping the prison and fighting off the Demogorgons, and then later realizing that they have to go back. And there's a lot of crazy stuff that just ends up happening.
The stuff in Russia was really interesting. I liked where it built, but I feel like it didn't go very far into what I really thought it was going to be exploring. It really left on a point where there's still a lot of questions to be answered. Will they be answered? Will they won't? We'll have to find that out in Season 5. But touching upon that really just quickly, what were your thoughts on how, I know we were talking about this, it was a topic that we were talking about a lot, was all of the Demogorgons in the tubes.
I don't know what was going on. It reminded me of like Alien in scenes where like they were keeping them in the tubes. They had the baby Demogorgon getting like operated on a table, and then most of all, besides the cloning of like all the Demogorgons, they had the Mind Flayer trapped.
Yeah, in a
particles
in chamber,
all just locked up behind glass. That was really crazy. Like, how did they get that? How did they make it stay trapped? And how did they just contain that? How much knowledge do they know about what's going on? And how much more is there? Is there other gates in Russia? Like, is there expanding in different facilities? There's so much craziness to happen. But basically, they realize they have to go back and try to destroy these things because they have the hive mind and everything's connected. So that's just one part of the story.
A lot going on in this season. So I think we can move right forward to the real meat of this stuff that I really enjoyed of Volume 2 was everything that had to do with everybody in Hawkins. So we see that after Vecna gives Nancy the vision of Hawkins exploding, she's in total peril. They're trying to figure out, they're like, okay, we cannot let this happen. We got to stop Vecna. We got to go to him, bring the fight to Vecna. Very kind of reminded me a lot of Endgame style, where like just go right to Thanos, chop his head off.
Yeah.
That seemed like that's what their plan was going to be, take out Vecna. Very improbable, very unlikely they would ever be able to do that.
To succeed properly.
It was crazy. What did you think of that?
Well, you have all the characters coming together, discussing the plans, and Elle's actually snooping in on their conversation by like dream walking, so she's finally getting connected on what the heck has been going on in Hawkins. So she learns a lot, and there's the plan that they have to try to go to the gun store and try to like get like Armageddon style ready for the apocalypse. And there's so much character stuff. There was so many things that were happening, and you got to see more character building with Eddie providing the ability to get the van. That was like a funny moment that happened this season. I like that, and it just further built his character and his charisma. He goes and they interact with the jocks that are at the gun store. That's a tense moment. You don't realize who's going to get captured, who's going to get caught. They're all trying to buy weapons. I feel like it was necessary to show that because obviously they need some type of like Hunger Games type arsenal to defeat and go into battle with, but I really think they didn't grab the best stuff. I feel like it was kind of like amateur type things, like trash can with nails and other things like that. But it made for memorable moments to see with like some of our favorite characters later on. Like the relationship that they kept building with Dustin and Eddie was really a highlight of the whole series as a whole. It's just such a unique dynamic that they have them together and just fun, lovable characters. And they had these type of monologues throughout the episode, or just like back and forth conversations with like characters such as Nancy and Steve and Dustin and Eddie that go to show you like, oh, they're setting this up like to build up their hopes and dreams, or to get you like emotionally attached to them even more to later just kill them off. So I was on the edge with that almost the whole episodes.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think the one thing I was gonna mention was Eddie definitely in this couple episodes, Eddie definitely brings a different dynamic to the crew that really made his character enjoyable. And I just had this impending doom that, man, they're gonna kill Eddie off at some point. I think they were setting it up, like you mentioned, the different little speeches that they kind of give, hinting at like, okay, this is what a character gives before they die. So I'm like, oh man, don't do it. But Eddie really brought a great chemistry this season. Like you're saying, his relationship between Dustin and his dynamic going across Joe, Carey, Steve, really good this season, really entertaining to watch. And one thing I wanted to just mention was how much they were teasing us, like you mentioned with that Steve death. They were dropping so many different things, like Steve, like just how these moments.
He wants his little Harrington.
Exactly.
In the
future.
Like,
you're giving so many hints.
He reveals his love again to Nancy.
It's like, bro, they're getting ready to kill
everyone talking about it. You got Robin like hyping them up, trying to push them as a couple again. There's so many things that they're like hinting at, and then you got the building of the rekindling of the relationship, getting it back to how it was for Max and Lucas, and that was touching, trying to see them come back and getting on the same page.
Their acting this season, that final episode was crazy.
Yeah,
their acting was so good.
Lucas
season.
didn't have a lot early on.
He didn't at all.
But like after episode 4 is when he started really like feeling again what it was like to be a part of the crew. The whole entering of the Creel house and setting up that whole plot after they basically made camp at their site. We got one half of the crew going down into the upside down again, and the other half at the house. What were your thoughts when that was happening?
Yeah, that was the two dynamics running across from each other. Was the upside down, the right side up, both entering the Creel house. What they were going to do with that, and Eddie's distraction during that scene was great. Eddie's guitar solo was jamming, it was pumping. He's playing some Metallica, Master of Puppets. That was really cool. It was very intense.
It was awesome.
And when the Demobats were rushing them and they're like trying to escape into the house,
that was nerve-wracking. There was so much crap.
Man, we can talk about that in a second, but them trying to figure out how to get Max to kind of fall back into this Vecna curse, but also then having Steve, Nancy, and Robin go to try to kill Vecna was really cool. It was tense, trying them to skip over the vines and all stuff like that, but I think it was kind of weird in my opinion. I didn't like how after they end up getting caught by the vines, how much it kept kind of just cutting to those same shots of them just kind of being choked out.
Yeah,
for
it's
so
like
long.
I feel like they probably would have been dead
in
the amount of time that passed from when they actually got caught, but it almost leads you to believe that they weren't in there for that long. Otherwise, I think they would have passed out.
Something would happen.
It just kept cutting back and forth, and you got Lucas and Erica with Max trying to wonder what the heck is happening, and then the jocks find out by a guy walking by the house, and he alerts him, and so much stuff is going down. Erica's on the run, and Jason comes into the house, tries to take over, and wondering what the heck is happening. That was the most intense part of this whole episode.
Yeah,
I loved that part, and then the fight with Elle. So the fight with Jason and Lucas, and then the fight with Elle and Vecna, that was the craziest parts out of these last 2 episodes by far.
I agree. So the fight with Jason was definitely one. It was a very ground and pound brawl style fight. Lucas trying to convince him. Obviously, he sounds insane. Trying to tell someone who doesn't know actually what's going on. Yeah. He sounds like a lunatic. Definitely sounds like some sort of cult. Yeah. And so he's like, "Listen, I promise." She's like, "She can't wake up right now. I can't wake her up." So I could see where Jason was coming from. But also, he's just crazy.
Yeah, he's kind of just like, he's stubborn, and I guess it makes sense when you're not in the circle of the friends in the group and you know what's happening. But
he's also going off. He's going off
of emotion, and not even. And even Lucas tries to explain what's happening, and he doesn't want to believe that his girlfriend was willing to take drugs or something from talking to Eddie, and there's just so much built up tension and drama. It's insane.
There was a lot going on in that moment, and then the fight, like you mentioned, between Vecna and 11 was really intense too, because it was Max was slowly trying to escape Vecna, trying to go into memories that she once had, and 11 dreamwalking into Max. That was really interesting plot.
And they were trying to connect the two together. I thought the scene where Max was trying to run away and escape from Vecna, it's a prolong to get to the point where she was trying to distract Vecna long enough to get him in that state, kind of like how Elle, they found out how Elle goes in to her state when she goes to dreamwalk. She's still invulnerable, so they come up with the idea to go and have Steve and the rest of the crew go kill Vecna while she's doing that. So there's so much that's happening, and it's not all going to plan with all these extra things that are going on in the episode. So you find out later on that Elle's trying to dreamwalk to save Max, because the California crew finally comes into great play with having her go into the pizza dough ice bath, and Argyle basically comes in clutch. I feel like his whole point of the whole series was just to be able to work
her
at the pizza, Surfer Boy Pizza, and he gets her to the shop. The fight with Elle and Vecna in the ballroom when Max gets herself running away from Vecna, that was the point where you realize this is where everything's coming to an end, because that's the first time Elle is seeing Vecna since he was Henry Creel, or number one. So he gets taken up, and all of a sudden Elle turns him around in the sky and realizes who he is. That emotional like connection right there. She's like, I'm here to kill you. But then Vecna comes back up, basically is like, yeah, no, I got this. I'm in control right now. And Elle basically was powerless. I was like, really though? I'm like, come on, you couldn't put up a little bit more of a fight? She basically just was like dead on the wall until Mike was like whispering and telling her, no, I love you. You got this. You're a superhero. And that kind of like made everything. For the movie, that was like one of those points where it's like, all right, this is like one of those you can do it moments.
To me, it just felt like it was just like so. I feel like Mike once again, just not to keep dogging on Mike, but Mike
just didn't do a lot.
He doesn't do anything. He's literally just like he's like naming off how wonderful she is. It's like, you're so great, you're spectacular, you're amazing. I think you're wonderful. It's like, come on, all right, bro. We've heard you say this like a million times. Like, think of something more creative.
I don't know how to tell you I love you. I'm scared. You're gonna leave me.
I don't know. Just that whole story just felt so just like I wanted to move on.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, the rest of the crew ends up helping Elle because she's basically like choking, dying, and they're trying to wake her up. And only Mike saying that makes her overcome what's going on. But as this is happening, you got Jason fighting Lucas, and I'm like, I don't know what is about to happen. I had a feeling that somebody was going to die. I had a feeling that something bad was going to happen. I didn't feel comfortable at all what any of the stuff that was going on.
Yeah.
When Max started getting raised to the sky, bro, I was like, whoa, are they going here right now?
I really thought that she was dead.
The first bone break, I was like, oh my God. I'm like, all right, maybe she can come back from a broken bone, from a broken leg. Then her arm breaks. I'm like, oh my gosh, bro, I'm not ready to see her die right now. I like Max. I'm like, I can't believe they're going here. And then you find out
her eyes
in her blood. I'm like, oh my goodness, this is slow. This is such a slow burn. What were you thinking at that point?
Yeah, I was just, the tension was rising, the stress was building. So that was really, I'm just looking back at it though. I kind of do wish they killed her, only because it felt like it would have been a death that really would have mattered. I really would have felt it. Eddie's death we can touch upon. Definitely was one that it was definitely sad in the moment, but he was a new character, you know. Like it's not like a common Stranger Things trope is to kill off the new guy.
It is, but I just I kind of expected it, but I didn't at the same time because I'm like, he really is so likable, and everybody really grew to like him.
He was a great addition.
He went from being like this weird, creepy, like heavy metal guy that just like seems like he's just into like being a bully that just stayed back in high school for years to actually being a heartfelt, good, lovable guy. So, a team player. So it was emotional, and especially the relationship with him and Dustin after coming off that victory, like getting the distraction. At that point, both of the deaths that were leading up were just, I'm like, wow, that's crazy. I mean, brushing over the previous one that we saw when Papa died, that really didn't do much to me. I was like, okay, this guy, at some point, something's gonna happen. His character, like, we always liked him. Dr. Brenner always added that suspense and mystery if when he was still alive.
He's
no
a
one
creepy
really
guy.
was sure. I just feel like, to be honest, in this season, I just don't think, besides giving 11 the flashbacks, he didn't really add much to anything. Like, he had this little facility, and he's trying to help her get the powers back. I thought he was going to drop some newfound knowledge. Basically, he just reminded her of the origins of Vecna, which I guess plays a key role, and maybe we'll learn more about One and Dr. Brenner's relationship, maybe a little bit more in the past, but Vecna even says to 11 when he had her captured, he's like, Brenner only did so much to me. He's like, you're the one that made me into this monster that I am. She's basically saying, like, forget Dr. Brenner, because he never, it goes to make you think, like, he never went after him, he never tried to kill him, like how he did all the other victims. He basically just left him.
Yeah.
And he just was like, 11 has been, like, the main one. So 11 gets that badass moment. She throws Vecna up against the tree in the upside down, or whatever the heck that gross bloody stalk was, and there's that moment when Steve and Nancy and Robin finally get free.
Molotov cocktail.
They go to shoot that thing. I was like, yo, this is it. Is he dead? And then he falls.
Yeah.
And it makes it seem like he's still alive.
I really think it would have been a dope parallel if you would have had it so as Hopper, because Hopper, during this same time we're having Hopper fighting off the Demogorgon for the final time.
Which was pretty sweet.
And he has a really cool, like, Conan Barbarian, He-Man slicing off of the Demogorgon, but I think it would have been really cool to see, like going, flashing back and forth, like, as that's happening, if Steve would have used his axe that he was carrying to slice off Vecna's head or something.
And that's a note to touch
Something
upon.
cool would have been cool like that.
Steve barely did anything in this whole final last
Didn't
two
do
episodes.
much.
He's such a loved, built-up character. Besides doing that initial dive and fighting off the Demogorgons at the end of Volume 1, this guy did jack crap besides drive them where they had to go and just be there to watch over some people. He did no cool moves. He didn't take a strike. I don't think he did anything to help kill Vecna. He basically was just there as a weird side supporting character.
It was pretty much like Nancy's time to shine. I mean, to be fair, she hasn't done much
every
recently.
season, though, she's always with the gun. She's always taking control. She's
That's
always
true.
basically in charge.
But the last season, she didn't really do too much last season. So I feel like this season, it kind of makes sense to let her kind of shine through a little bit. But
I don't know.
Not at the expense of my guy Steve. But I'm happy they didn't kill him off.
I'm happy that they didn't kill him off. I just wish that they could have did a little bit more with him.
Yeah.
So I get they catered more towards Eddie as a character with Dustin, which was because they were about to kill him off.
They're always killing off my favorite nuke. They kill off Bob. They kill off Billy.
Alexi.
I don't care about Bill, but like Bob, Billy, and Eddie. Come on, bro. Those are like some of my favorite characters.
Billy wasn't great till the end, though.
I just quickly wanted to touch upon you mentioned it a couple seconds ago, but the fight between 11 and Vecna. I kind of felt personally it was a little anticlimactic.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's just because of the extent of 11's powers, or just maybe because of how they chose to show them, but I feel like just kind of raising him up and kind of just mimicking the same thing of just kind of exploding him from the inside out kind of was a little bit played out already, you know? Like that kind of, the impact that moment could have had. I feel like also it came down a little bit to the editing. I feel like the editing in this final episode was a little weird. I didn't enjoy some of the moments. I think they used a lot of flashbacks and key moments where I feel like it would have been more interesting to see these characters' emotions in their scene. But instead, they talk about their friends, and then we just get the same flashback that we've seen like so many times now of 11 and Max just like
getting the ice cream at the mall. And
it's like, come on, like how many times are you going to show the same 3 scenes as like the big emotional impact? It didn't really give me that emotion that I wanted in that scene.
And they keep replaying running up the hill too. Like,
yeah, it's like, come on, it's like everything felt a little out of play during that scene. So I just feel like I wish there could have been more of a power. Like I know there's not much you can do with the whole telekinesis type powers, but I think there's something more you could have done.
Like they could have did stuff where like flesh monsters or demogorgons and bats and even Vecna controlling vines to stop 11. I feel like
she could have did something like crushing and breaking.
I thought there was going to be more of a fight in that world with him. I feel like it was very, oh, I'm powerful now, and she just screams and throws him against the wall. Like all the training that he knew she had the ability to do this. He's the one that told her, yeah, just take a memory that you hold dear and hold on to that. And he was able to defeat him. I'm like, you're fighting a guy who knows your every play, but he still beats you, still lose. Like I don't get it. It was crazy.
Yeah, there's a lot going on, but it pretty much ends with we don't know really what happened to Vecna.
Max
And
being
Max
paralyzed, soulless, basically. Like,
and she dies. She dies.
She does die.
She dies. So then, after she dies,
all of a sudden,
well, before that though, she technically does die. So she ends up causing the portal to the Upside Down to open up.
Yeah, all the gates.
And that's where Nancy's vision comes true because Max does die, and so the entire town of Hawkins is literally like mid blowing up.
Yeah, and a bunch of gates. It looks like lava.
It's
coming
crazy
through the town. It cracks through Jason's body, which I could care less. You kind of deserve that, dude. And then everything else, the whole town. But then you see Elle just being like determined and distraught, and she's like, no. She just touches her heart, almost like inside of her body, and like
she has power to bring
people
back to life.
And like that whole sequence was kind of like a little choppy.
No,
but it basically goes and tells you that everything that started happening in Hawkins kind of simmered down, and that's why Vecna was hurt, they said, and he wasn't able to fully make his plan go into order, because that's what is later described later on with Will being able to feel the presence in the Upside Down once they all come back with each other.
He kind of got most of his plan covered. He basically did it. Most of his plan, it basically was just to bring the Upside Down to Hawkins, and that's pretty much how this season ends off. But what did you think about just kind of finishing off? Do you think in your mind that they should have finished off Max?
No, I'm happy that they survived. That she survived. I just hope that she can make somewhat of a recovery. Is she gonna end up come back blind? Is she gonna come back who she actually is? Is Elle gonna have to go and try to find her?
Because she wasn't there when she went through her mind.
That space where is she gonna try to go like? I don't know what the heck they're gonna describe to do, but there's a lot of supernatural elements that are being explored that really weren't as touched upon in further seasons in earlier seasons. So I'm not sure if they're gonna retcon stuff or change things around or make new plot devices. I don't know.
Yeah, I just feel like, and personally, I feel like if they would have killed off Max, it would have made that moment even more impactful. I feel like Caleb McLaughlin's acting, along with Sadie Sink and Millie Bobby Brown, all of their acting together in that scene was great. The sheer emotion that Lucas was freaking out that Max was dying was so good, but then it kind of felt in my eyes just a little undercut when she just survives, like kind of just.
Well,
just
you don't
survives.
know. It's a tension. It's like it's a cliffhanger for the next season. You're not sure. Is she alive? Is she not? Is she gonna be blind? She's paralyzed? Her arms are broken. There's so much wrong with her.
I would just disagree. I think it would have been better just to kill her and make it like just that much more impactful to me. But we could move right forward. Basically, where this ends, it ends on an actual cliffhanger of the Upside Down. Everybody returns together.
Hopper's cheap return, where he comes back.
Yeah, he
kind of like that was so rushed and like glossed over so fast.
It was. But everybody comes together. They run up that hill and they see that the Upside Down is now invaded.
The town's going to crap. There's
crazy.
Smoke in the air. There's just more. The fields are rotting away, and it's very similar to the scenery that you see in the one good flashback that we got with number one Henry Vecna exploring on how he actually slowly started becoming who he was by having that calling when he was a kid. It was weird to see how the similarities of him drawing the Mind Flayer just like Will did back in the earlier seasons, and then you seen him like basically having his body open to being known that this was like a calling from when he was a kid. He finally sees this big creature we know as the Mind Flayer in the Upside Down.
That was crazy.
With the world that they're in, random Demogorgons running around, and he basically gets everything put inside of him. So that's just a snippet, I think, of what we're going to probably see in Season 5 with the Upside Down coming onto our Earth and our reality. So there's a lot. I don't know where the heck they're going to go from here. I heard that the episodes will probably be shorter for Season 5, but I feel like there's so much still that you got to unfold to give a final good season, like especially with the mystery with where Vecna is, where the crew stands, with Eleven's powers back now, and the crew basically all together.
There are a lot of unanswered questions still to find out in this next season. There's going to be a lot of things looking forward to. I'm not sure how long it's going to take for this next season to come out. Hopefully not 3 years.
I think I heard like around 2024, which is still 2 years away. So.
It's going to be a long ways away. But one thing that I want to touch upon quickly is the rumor, or I'm not sure if it's been confirmed or not, but that there's going to be a time jump in this next season, Season 5. How is that going to play into the fact that as we're watching this play out,
the town's like being destroyed?
Exactly.
What's going to happen?
There's
during
no way you
that
can
time?
just gloss over that. So how is this going to happen?
It's like an apocalyptic scenario.
Exactly.
Is it going to be in the 90s? Is it going to be 89? Like, how are they going to finish it off?
That's true. So there's theories that they might age them up to the actual age of the actors, which would be roughly about 4 to 5 years. So that'd be a pretty big time jump. I believe they're in 86 right now, so that'd bring us right about to the 90s. So one of the buddies that we were watching this final 2 episodes with had mentioned a theory that he thought of, which is maybe they might do kind of similar to Endgame when it picks up directly where Infinity War left off, pretty much. So this might pick up directly where we see them on this hill, continue for maybe 3 to 4 episodes, and then the final episodes be that time jump where maybe those couple episodes they end up killing Vecna, and then at some point later on he awakens. Something awakens, the Mind Flayer awakens again, and everybody has to band together one final time. So that could be really interesting to touch upon. But any other things you have to mention?
There's so much more to be unanswered with what's happening with the rifts in our reality, with the science that they explain it, with the agencies that are coming after 11. Is she safe? Is she out of harm's way? Will her powers evolve? Will she be able to fly next? Is she the next Neo? Like, what's happening?
They fly now.
I don't know, guys. Let us know what you guys think down below. What do you think is going to happen? What do you think of the overall Volume 2? What do you think of the series as a whole? For me personally, I gave this season a solid, out of 10, I would give it a solid 8. 8.5 at best.
That's a fair score.
It's not a 9 or a 10 by any means. It's just there's too many things that make it weak. But there's so much that makes it strong. So it's like kind of an oxymoron. But I was overall satisfied with the season. I like the different approach that they took. But at the same thing, there's a cost where some of the characters just were very swept to the side. California Crew. And so many other characters were shined upon. And it's sad to see some of our favorite characters go or be in trauma, but that's what makes good television and good story and speculation to wonder what the heck's going to happen in future seasons. So I hope that there's not a new character that they introduce in Season 5 that we all get attached to and they emotionally rip it from us. Is Will going to be the next vessel for Vecna? Is there going to be stuff with him? What the heck is happening with Hopper? What the heck is happening with the other scientists that the government wanted to save?
Kill Steve.
Protect Steve at all costs
Steve at
and
all
make
costs.
his character badass again.
Yeah.
Make Steve badass.
Bring justice for Steve. So there's so much going on. Probably things we missed, but we've talked for a while here now.
Yeah,
so
thanks for watching.
Once again, another long video about man, did we enjoy Stranger Things?
One of my favorite shows ever.
Like your rating, I'd very much agree. I think this season was a solid 8 for me. I think that Volume 1 was a little bit more cohesive and enjoyable compared to Volume 2.
Yeah.
But I think together as a story, it made a pretty cohesive vision that I think was very risky. They did a lot more this season in comparison to previous seasons. We can talk more about that in a possible upcoming video. But good job. I like the season. And yes, I think 8 is a solid review. Solid rating. So, wow. Lot talked about. Let us know all your thoughts down below in the comments. Like the video, subscribe if you're new, and we'll see you in the next video. Alright guys, peace.